Troy here with Lithogen. Hello. This video is for one of my customers who is getting one of our IceProfiler units. Normally, in the winter, people use ice GPR to measure the thickness of ice roads. And we have a number of IceMap GPRs, but once they're all deployed, we start using parts to compile something called an IceProfiler. This is an unofficial system that is cobbled together from parts from 3 different systems. Part of the components are from the IceMap, mostly the software. The control electronics are from the Spidar, and you can see that right there. And this allows us to do wireless communication and such, similar to the IceMap. The antenna and several other components are from the Noggin. So I'm actually sending all 3 manuals, and there's going to be bits and pieces that are accurate in each manual for the system. But the purpose of this video is to make sure that the customer can actually set up and operate once they hit the field. So let's start with the 3 boxes. This box is going to contain some parts, manuals, a spare battery, chargers for everything, some straps to hook everything up. The only thing you really need to survey is the tablet, and even then you don't really need it because you can use your cell phone or any other computer to do the actual data recording. You will need the tablet for data processing. Inside the second box here is a battery. There's a power connector. I'm going to go a little bit closer. There is a power connector coming out of the battery that you have to connect, and it goes to the Spidar unit. There is a GPS. It has a serial cable that goes into the Spidar unit as well. And finally, there is a control cable here that goes between the Spidar and the Noggin antenna. When we ship it to you, this cable will be disconnected. Actually, this one will be also disconnected. And you will have to pass the cable out through one box into the other box and tighten it. These boxes will actually end up sitting in a toboggan. I'm not going to assemble the toboggan for the video, but the toboggan has a hitch and it has a couple of tie-down points, and we're going to send you some ratchet straps that you can use to strap these 2 boxes down into the toboggan. Once they're assembled and strapped in, there is 2 power buttons that you have to pay attention to. The first one is on the GPS. This Geo GPS has its own power button on the front. It's one button. Just click it once. There you go. And you'll see some lights light up. Inside the building here with the wooden roof, we expect to get GPS in a couple of minutes here. The second button is on the front of the Spidar unit, and if you click this once, assuming you've plugged the battery in, and the battery's not dead, battery might be dead. Okay, we're going to switch to the other battery. Click this once. You'll see the screen light up with a blue light. We don't really need to pay attention to that. There will be an IP address printed on that screen later, which is useful if you are connecting to the Spidar with your phone or similar. Once these are all powered up, we can actually just close the case. And just be careful with the cables here. There is holes cut on the side of the case to prevent the cable from getting damaged. And same with the GPR case. There's a notch cut here to prevent the cable from getting damaged. And you would strap those 2 into the toboggan. I'm going to adjust the camera angle here and go to the workbench, because now we're going to look at what this looks like on the tablet. Okay, tablet has a power button. It's one push to turn on. Assuming it's charged, it's going to take a minute or two to boot up. Looks like this one's operating in portrait mode. So what we're going to do, it automatically logged you in. If it doesn't, the password is blank on this tablet, so you should log right in. This tablet has a number of programs on it for the IceMap, but we don't have an IceMap, so we're not going to use those. We're instead going to use the web browser to connect to the Spidar. To do this, we first look at our Wi-Fi connections. And depending on how fast the GPR behind me is booting, the Wi-Fi connection might take a while to show up. The Wi-Fi network we're looking for starts with NIC. You can see some of the networks here from neighboring warehouses. We have a brewery next door with a very amusing network name, Half Pints Anti-Social Network. All right, shouldn't take this long to boot up, so we're gonna go and check on our GPR. On the screen, it just says booting. I'm going to assume that something has gone wrong with the software, because it doesn't normally take this long to boot. So I'm going to force it to power off and turn it back on again. So I just turned it off and back on again by pulling the power and then pushing the power button to turn it back on. Now it says booting again, and we wait. Normally it'll say booting for about 15 or 20 seconds. And there we go, it's booted up. Let's go back to our tablet. Hopefully the glare up above here is okay. Yeah, that's okay. So on the tablet, there is Wi-Fi networks, and now you see this network is connected. If you ever need to connect to this network with a phone or something, the password is the same as the name of the network, and yes, you have to type that whole thing in, and yes, it's annoying. Once you're connected, you can launch a web browser on any device, in this case Microsoft Edge, and you can go to the IP address of the Spidar. The IP address is going to be printed on the screen down there. On the tablet I sent it with a bookmark. I'm just going to show that again so that you don't have to type it in every time. If you do have to type it in, you will have to type in HTTP in front of it in order to get the web browser to actually connect to it. Otherwise, it's going to try to search for that IP address instead of directly connect to it. You can see the battery level here. That is the battery level of the gray battery there. And I have it pre-configured as an IceProfiler. When you boot it up, if it says configuration default or anything like that, you want to go to the menu, menu, system configuration, and in the drop-down list, choose IceProfiler. Don't make any changes to these settings. If you do, choose save as and then create a new profile so that this profile has the default settings. Okay. Then you can go to project management, and we're in Lithogen shop test here. I'm going to add a new project. I'm going to call it video. One thing one of our customers discovered by accident, don't leave a space at the end of the project name, otherwise it won't work. So right now we have an empty project. The previous project that I used here for testing prior to making the video has a bunch of lines in it. Ours is empty. We can go to line scan, and right now we can see we have good GPS. Its quality is DGPS, and it's got full green bars, 90% battery, and I can hit start to start logging GPR data. It takes a couple seconds to boot up, but you'll start to see it logging down here. I'm going to see if I can get that closer. Doesn't really show anything in the log here because we're sitting on a concrete floor and we're not moving. But if I just take my foot and move this, not much of a change. Yeah, there's a little change. It's concrete floor. It's pretty boring, but the system is working as expected. When you're done, you just hit stop. One thing I should note here is that if the tablet battery dies or you lose your Wi-Fi connection or something like that, the thing actually continues to log while the tablet is turned off. And I'll just demonstrate that by turning the tablet off. It's actually logging on the yellow box there. And all we're doing is recording, getting a live view of the data from the tablet. So I can turn the tablet back on, and it will have been logging the entire time. I can hit refresh. And it still says it's scanning. That's why the stop button is there. But you notice that if you disconnect and reconnect, it's only going to show the section that it has logged since you turned the tablet back on. Doesn't mean it's not storing everything. Everything is actually stored there, but you'll only be able to see the section when you turn on your screen. So if you load it with your cell phone or something like that, you'll only see that little bit from when you connect it. Okay, I'm going to hit stop. And just for the sake of having two files here, I'm going to hit start again one more time. And you can see it takes a second to load up. You might do multiple lines if you're crossing a lake multiple times and you want to do a center line, a left shoulder, and a right shoulder, you might do 3 lines, for example. And then hit stop again. So I'm going to go to the project management here. And now if we go to our video test here, you actually see line 1 and line 2. If you've collected a lot of data, and I'm talking like hours worth, you might need to put a USB stick into there and tell it to export to USB. But if it's a small amount of data, you can just hit the download button. And what it will do is it'll actually, over the Wi-Fi, it'll download it onto the computer. And in the browser here, I'm actually just going to click the Open File button. And it's going to run a conversion script for us and disappear. This is some of Lithogen's secret sauce here, and what turns this into an IceProfiler. Now we're going to launch IceMap. And IceMap is where you would record the data if you were recording on the IceMap. However, we didn't record on an IceMap, we recorded on a Spidar. So we need to go to our IceProfiler data, and we have a video project, line 1. We're going to open it, and it's going to pop open in IceMap. In IceMap, you're now going to have to do your picks and stuff like you would with a normal ice data set. Now this is garbage data because it was collected on a shop floor and it isn't very long, but we could do all the edits here, edit our ice pickness, etc. And then when you're done, now you're following along with the IceProfiler manual for the rest of the software. So you can do the generate report option, generate report about your ice, or go into Ice Picker and open that data. IceProfiler video, line 1. And file, save ice thickness file. You can create the KMZ for Google Earth, etc. We don't have Google Earth installed on here, so I'm going to fix that before I ship it. Other than that, this thing is ready to go. Okay. The last thing is to get the data off of here, you're going to have to stick a memory stick into here or email it to yourself. So there's going to be an IceProfiler folder with the data in it, and just take a copy of your whole folder here when you copy it off. Okay, I think that's everything. It's a bit of a long video, and we had one little glitch which we resolved by restarting the system. And other than that, it's ready to send to the customer. Okay, excellent.